Hey everyone, Javier here. Welcome to another exciting episode of Javier in the Air. So, for those of you who have not watched any of my last season or any of the episodes this season, welcome. This is an exciting podcast where I have a chance to talk to people about things they are passionate about and beer, which they could also be passionate about, but that's in the second part of the show. So, over the past two seasons, I've been coming to you from my house here in Cedar Park, and I've been interviewing people about things they're passionate about, such as writing and music and gaming and crafting and gardening, and we've seen a lot from a lot of different people. So I'm going to continue to do that work and get more people. Hopefully, with us coming out of the COVID nightmare that we've been in for the past 14 months, we will get to actually 15 months now. We will get a little bit more exciting with my podcast, a little bit more people, a little bit more adventure, a little bit more things. And so bear with me. I hope you'll stick with me. And it's gonna be great couple of next couple of episodes. So be ready for that. So, yesterday, with me and my vaccinated friends, we had a brunch. And it was the first one that I've actually thrown in of a party of any sort in almost a year, actually over a year. And you had a little sampling of it last week when I showed the hazelnut cookies and the German apple pancake. So that turned out really well, and so I'm going to take you to the brunch now and kind of go over some of the things that we did and some of the things I did, and talk a little bit about what they were. So, here we go. So here we are. Here's the spread. So you see, we got some feta cheese and various veggies on top of a hummus cream cheese spread on flatbread, and then you see some tarts to the right. Crackers in the middle. Middle left is summer sausage and some olives and some pickles. And then towards the top we have the pound cake along with some various fruit. And then to the top left are the blueberry cornbread. And then right above that is the German apple pancake. And then to the right is the Boozy French toast. So I'll go a little bit over them when we go back to when we cut back to me on video. But this was a spread we had for yesterday, May 1st. It was a really turned out to be really good. Had a lot of people there. We were all vaccinated, and we were having a really great time yesterday before all the rain came down. So this is where we started to partake. You see Rob there, my brother, who's beginning to chow down on some carbs, and he is just getting going on there, and so we wanted to capture him when he didn't know it. So from then around just around the backyard at James and Zyda's where we did it because of the inclement weather. You see James chilling out there for a bit before he starts to chow down, along with some other ladies there, and they are standing by the on the back deck of James and Zyda Pavlowski's house. And then you see some of the people that made it out there. These are lifelong friends of Zyda. And the one we want to focus on is Susan there, which is to the right of Zyda. She is in from Florida, so she was the furthest person to make it to the brunch. And then these are some other friends of theirs that live in the Austin area. So, and then we have a good shot of myself and Julia as we were about to really snort down some good food. Oh, on top of that, there was also some good adult beverages that James and Julia made with turmeric and Bailey's and a whole sort of other thing. I'll try to see if I can get that ingredient list from Julia. So, and then as the brunch progressed, we got to see Susan there, and a nice other lady. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. They're enjoying themselves, having a good talk about, I believe they were talking about um, some of the podcasts that I've gone over in the past. So this is Susan and Zyda this morning, May 2nd, where they were showing this rock that they found out at the farm, and they want your opinion and your vote as to what that rock looks like. I don't want to give it away, but if you want to submit in the chat on the podcast what you think that rock looks like. We've had a various range, and so it'd be interesting to see what other people got. So enter and submit your vote now, and we'll see what the outcome is. Okay, so I wanted to break down a little bit some of the items that I brought, especially because the video that I had didn't seem to work out, so I don't know what happened on that. Not very happy with that, but that's the way things go. Technical difficulties abound. So I showed a little bit about the German apple pancake last week. Let me take this off because I know my mother will say something about it being too dark for me. So the German apple pancake was a huge success. This week I decided to go with my about a 9-inch square cast iron skillet that I had this time making the pancake. Used the same ingredients as before. I was able to also, well, I made the pancake as before, and I think I added the list last time. If not, I'll put it up here. And then what I did do with the apples, what I did is I cut to almost no sugar to them, and I wasn't using tart apples like the recipe called for. I didn't have them. I had a bunch of Red Delicious, so I used the Red Delicious for, instead, which has a lot more sugar to it. So I cut down to almost no sugar, but I needed a little bit for the caramelization process. And what I did do was I did add some apple brandy to it. So with the apple brandy kicking it up that alcohol a little bit, even though it gets baked, it gets cooked off when you make the topping, but still, it's a good thing to do. Really heavy on the apple taste, by the way. The fake apple in there is really high. Added the apple brandy, poured it on top, timed it so that it was still really warm when we got took it over to James and Zida's. So then on top of that, I also did the blueberry cornbread, which I'll put the ingredients here up in a little while. And no alcohol in that. Combination of flour and cornmeal to make the cornbread, and the blueberries were fresh from HEB. Really good. And if you don't know, you want to coat any fruit that you're using in flour before you add them to the batter. That way they don't sink to the bottom. So that's a cool little trick that I learned the other day. So I rolled the blueberries in flour before I put them into the batter, and they were distributed evenly throughout the cornbread. So the cornbread was also a success like the pancake was. And then I did a boozy French toast. And it's considered boozy because you add booze to it, of course, and of course that gets baked off as well, but it leaves a great flavor to it. So this time I went with Bailey's Irish Cream, white creme de cocoa, and dark creme de cocoa, and added that to the eggs and milk that I whisked together, and poured that over cuts of sourdough bread, and I basically jigsaw cut it to 2 layers so that it was about that thick, and let it soak overnight. And then by the time I cook it in the morning, there is no liquid left. It is totally absorbed by the sourdough bread. And then you bake that puppy. You can put some sugar on top if you want to get again a little bit more caramelization on there. I baked it until it got a nice hard toast like on top. I probably could have gone with twice as much ingredients and it probably would have been even better. Turned out real good too. So that was something that I did. And then James and Julia Takashita had some nice adult beverage concoction of theirs that they've made before for us with turmeric in it. I'll see if I can get the ingredients and drop them on here as well. So really good brunch. Really great group of people that were there. We enjoyed ourselves. We talked a lot about back in the day, pre-COVID. We also talked about life in general and things that were going on in our lives and how things have changed since the last time we got together. Which with this particular group, it's probably been about 2 years. And so we had a really good time and we enjoyed ourselves. We were there 3 4 hours, and then the rains came, so then everybody pretty much left. And then I went back and hung out some more with James and Zaida and the Hawkins, and we hung out there for another couple of hours. So it was a really good day, really lazy day for myself. I didn't do a lot of the projects other than the brunch itself, and enjoyed myself immensely. I wish it could have been outside, but I mean, like outside in my back deck, because I spent a lot of time getting it ready for this occasion. But perhaps in the future, real soon, I'll do another brunch and I can have some other people over and we can talk about what moving forward and how we're going to do some tastings. So I like to bring the tastings back, especially for the podcast, because I think that would be a great addition to it. So I think it'll be really cool. So let me get some other shots of the recipes that I did, and you can see what I did with them. And so I'm gonna throw those up here real quick, and then we're gonna go talk about the creek. Okay, so for those of you that have asked for me to put more detail in my directions on for the recipes, here's the recipe for the blueberry cornbread. And like I said, it was really good. And be sure and don't miss step 2 of the directions, which talks about tossing the blueberries in the flour. Because if you don't, you definitely will have them all sink to the bottom of the batter when you go to cook it. So it turned out to be really good. The streusel, I used coconut sugar instead, so it turned out a little bit different than you would normally see for this cornbread, but it turned out really good nonetheless. Now, here's the ingredients for the German apple pancake. I don't know why that became difficult for me to say. So as you see for the toppings here, they wanted tart apples, but again, I had Red Delicious, so I went with them and added a lot more than they called for. Plus, like I said, I cut the sugar down to almost nothing, just trying to use it for the caramelization purposes. And I did add apple brandy. You can add whatever you want to. You can add straight standard brandy also, or whatever. I highly recommend you make this and try it out with for your friends and family. It is really good. It's really great for a brunch idea. And finally, we have the Boozy Baked French Toast. This is a personal favorite and a fan favorite for the brunches that I've done in the past. It does say challah bread, so if you have an opportunity to use the challah bread instead, I totally recommend it. I did not. I researched and found out you can use any type of bread really, unless it has something that has like garlic or some kind of herbs in there. I went ahead with the sourdough bread. It turned out to be really good this time. If you go a little bit larger, I didn't go with the 9 by 13 pan. I went with a little bit larger, so I actually increased the amount. I highly recommend the Frangelico. I didn't have any this time because I used it in the hazelnut cookies. And I highly recommend the Baileys. And I also highly recommend that you go a little bit heavier handed than just the 3 tablespoons. I like to really kick it up quite a bit. I haven't tried the zest, but I heard it's really good, and I haven't tried adding pecans or anything because it's already sweet enough as it is with everything else. So it turns out really good. I highly also recommend you go by the directions to let it sit overnight. Otherwise, you may be disappointed. Turned out to be fabulous. Okay, so I was out and about this morning and decided to come up with something a little bit different from something that I saw. So, those of you that are in the this Texas area that I'm in, were playing witness to the deluge that came on yesterday. It was expected Friday, about 67%. Side note, by the way, 67% chance of rain is not what a lot of people think. It's not that means that there's a 36% chance of it not raining. What that means is that 67% of the area that you are in, and it depends on the weather maps on as to what area they are covering when they say this. If you have a 67% chance of rain, that means 67% of the area that you are in will get rain. That doesn't mean that it's not going to rain because it's only a 67% chance, or even if it's a 47% chance, that's 47% of the area that you are in will get rain. So it was about 60-70% on Friday, and it was about 99% when I went to sleep on Friday for Saturday. Now Saturday the rain held off long enough for us to partake in the brunch and have a really good time. But then it hit us hard for the next probably from about 1:30 to about I'd say probably 6 o'clock, maybe 6:30. It hit us hard, really hard, and so it was really bad, and it caused some flash flooding. And for those of you who are in the San Antonio area, you know what flash flooding is. Even some of us up here in the Austin area have encountered it up here. But San Antonio really is like the flash flood capital of the country. And so, but there was a lot of things. There was a lot of overflowing the banks, and there was a lot of backed up drainage and everything across town and across this area yesterday because the rain came down that hard that quickly. So this morning, not and currently right now, not a cloud in the sky. It's beautiful out there. And so I was out walking this morning, getting my long walk in, and I saw something really nice. It may not be as nice as some of the other areas, but it's just like a little piece of something that I saw. So I'm gonna kind of give y'all a moment of zen. I'm gonna run it with some music, give it about a minute, just for you guys to enjoy. So I hope you enjoy it like I did. And when we come back, we'll talk. This is the creek, by the way. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about port. And we're back. I hope everybody enjoyed that. I know I had a great time walking past that this morning. And that was just a very short section that I looped a couple of times. The entire length of the creek is about probably a little over a quarter of a mile, and some of it's not so nice. I thought it looked nice this morning. I know that there's bigger creeks and there's better creeks and there's rivers and there's lakes and there's ponds and all that. But I like to walk in my neighborhood, so I don't know about a lot of people. I know some people like to get up early and go to like Lake Travis or Lake LBJ or that sort of thing and get out into the elements, especially on a beautiful day like this, and go and walk. But I like to enjoy my neighborhood. I bought this house a little over 7 years ago, a little under 7 years ago, and because I really like the area, so I like to walk around in it, and I get to see things like this, which, like I said, is not overly gorgeous, but it's something that I thought was really nice this morning. So I thought I'd put a bit of music to it, and I kept the babbling noises of the creek itself. So I hope you enjoyed it. A quick little moment of zen for you. I'll try to add those in now to my podcast every now and then when I come across something I think is should be added to it. So Now we're coming off of that great little chill out area that we just did, and now we're going into the final section of the podcast where normally we do beer, but I think I'm going to now continue to expand it into just an alcohol section. I still want to do the beers. We talked about it last week. I want to continue to beat up on that beer baron and show them you can do a lot more than 41 beers in a year so that you can reach that status of beer baron. However, we're going to switch today, and I know I said we are going to stick to beers, but I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to go, and now I'm going to do port. So, a quick actual definition of port. Port wine is typically a richer, sweeter, heavier, and higher in alcohol content than the unfortified wines. This is considered a fortified wine, and they fortify it by causing the or by adding the addition of distilled grape spirits to fortify the wine. And what that does is it halts the fermentation before all the sugar gets converted to alcohol. So what that does is that it gets because it's fortified, so it's going to be higher than most wines that are not fortified. So, for example, most port is 19 to 20% uh, alcohol, which is 38 to 40 proof. So it's a little bit higher than wine, a little bit different, hits the palate a little bit differently. It's richer, it's heartier, and it's definitely sweeter. So some people like to have this for dessert. I like to have this sometimes with my neighbor James and Zyda sometimes when we're playing a little moon and we don't feel like just shooting it up with tequila shots, though we still do that as well. So I am going to, for today's adventures, I'm going to show you this port that I like to drink. This is one that I really have, over the years, I have found this is the one that I really like to drink. There's some 20-year-old ports out there, but I haven't found a lot that I really like. And I also like what they call a tawny port, because there's deep red ruby ports, and then you usually have the tawny, and then there's other ports as well that we can get into one time, but not here today. So this is I want to say Warre. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I hope somebody will correct me on that. Maybe they themselves will correct me on. This is their Ultima 10. So this is their 10-year old port, and it's aged for 10 years in oak barrels. And then they have it out on market. You notice that it's a very elongated bottle. It's not a big port bottle or a big wine bottle type thing. This is a little bit different. And again, the tawny port, you can see. I know the camera. Wow, the camera is really changing the colors on this. You can kind of see it on this far side over here, how it's a little bit lighter, and you get that golden color of a tawny port. But it looks pretty dark, and I think it's just the camera calibrating off on the colors from all the other colors you have in the background here. So it really is closer to a golden red color rather than a deep red color of a ruby port. And there is differences, but that's more in taste, so it really just depends on your palate and what you like. There's some people who absolutely abhor ports. They consider it too sweet, since it is kind of a dessert wine. So you have that nice fortified wine um, that hits the nose. It's really like you can tell that it's been aged in oak, and you can get that little oakiness to it. But you really hit that strong wine scent as well. It's just more of a sweetness to it. There's no real different variation in notes. At least I don't find in the Ultima 10. Maybe some other people may correct me on their nose. I'm sure their noses are better than mine. But it has that true, for me, port smell to it. Reminds me of like sitting out there with an old cork and spitting it out type of adventure that you would get like from Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. So I know they went with rum, but they also go with port. Port was used a lot in the I want to say pirate times, but during the naval times, and especially in overseas, in the different oceans across the world and seas across the world, port was something that held up well in voyages, along with the rum of two, of course, of the Caribbean. So we're gonna go ahead and go for it. It's not too early, by the way. It's about almost 2 o'clock out here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just pour the rest of it. So I did buy this, and I like to put it into a decanter because I like to act like I'm a snob when I'm really not. Um, and you see here, cork cap to it. So I went ahead and just filled out the rest of it. I have it in a decanter over here. And so now we're gonna go ahead and give it a taste. So it really hits the back of the palate, kind of almost evaporates a little bit of it when you swallow. You really get that oak taste to it, along with the strong sweetness. Um, it's definitely a grape type sweetness to it. It's not like a grape jelly. It's not like where you get a lot more tannins from your red wines and that sort of thing, and you taste the tannins heavily. Um, this tastes more like an alcohol, so it really is, because of the alcohol content it's been up. It's a little bit different than what you would get if you were drinking a wine. It's not something that you pound down or you have like a 16-ounce glass of wine and you don't really go to kill a bottle like this. You go to have it as an aperitif or something after dinner with friends, something to enjoy to help with your digestion, as they used to say in the old days. So it's not something that you just really, hey, let's go and kill a bottle of port off. No, it's just let's have a glass of port while we're talking about, I don't know, whatever you all want to talk about. If you haven't tried it before, I definitely recommend it if you're into wines and if you're into alcohol. Um, this did not set me back very far. This is, I believe this is like a $17 bottle of port, and give it a shot. Some people like the rubies over the tawnies. I prefer the tawny over the ruby. It really depends on your palate and what you like and what you're looking for in a port. There's also white ports, so don't sneer at things and say I don't like port at all, because it's just like saying I don't like tequila. There's a tequila for everyone pretty much, and you can probably find something that you're able to say, well, this is okay. I may not buy it, but I like it. So I can say that I do like certain types of whatever. In this case, port. So if for my port drinkers out there, if you like a tawny port, let me know what else is out there that you prefer to drink. The Otama 10 is the one that I have settled on for quite a few years now. Otama also Warre also has an Otama 20 tawny port as well, but I didn't find that to be as flavorful as the Otama 10 that I have here. So definitely, it's a preference, but I want to hear from you guys out there who may drink port. Let me know what they think about it. Okay, so that is our podcast for the day for May 2nd, 2021. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Let me know what you thought about my moment of Zen. I am really looking to try to interview someone for next week. I know people get tired of just seeing me and me talking about things I do, and so I'm trying to get people on board for another interview. Maybe bring back some people I've had before. Maybe get some new people that I haven't had on before. So I'd like to see if anybody out there is up for an interview. If you would like to be interviewed about something that you do, either hobby-wise or something that you do for a living, reach out and let me know, and I will set up a time that we can talk. So we're going into what should be start becoming pretty hot for us here in Texas. The rain yesterday helped, made a beautiful day. Things are growing. I will give you an update on my garden next week. I haven't really seen a lot of progress, which is why I haven't been doing a lot. It is Mother's Day weekend next weekend, so I might actually have my mom on here, maybe if I can convince her. If not, I'll have a quick shot of what we're doing for Mother's Day weekend. So I hope everybody had a great Sunday on this beautiful day. I hope they had a good weekend, and I hope they have a good week going into this coming week. And I will see y'all again next Sunday. All right, everybody, have a good one.